Come with me on this absolute beautiful Wednesday morning, and we've got a timing chain kit to be fitted to this 2015 1.6 cdti vauxhall mocker. Now when you're working on a two-post ramp, you have to plan ahead a little bit. Now we do need to remove the subframe on this vehicle, so we need to remove the lower steering column knuckle, and to do that I've just put the seat belt through the steering wheel just so we're not damaging that squib. Now to carry out this timing chain job, we need to treat it as if we're doing a clutch on it, because we need to remove the gearbox and the flywheel. So we're going to get all this battery tray out of the way. Now we've done all the easiest things, let's get down to the nitty and gritty. We've got to remove the cam cover, so the injectors are out of the way, the high pressure fuel pipes, and then we need to move our way around to all the the EGR side of it. Now before we go taking the injectors out, what we're going to do, because they're coded, we're going to mark them from each cylinder where they come from, and also with the high pressure fuel pipes. Now that we've got the rocker cover and the injectors out, when doing a job like this, get yourself little cardboard boxes and put stuff in, so you know you're not rummaging around for parts when you're putting it back together. Anyway, I don't know if you can see, look at the state of that chain. That is proper slack. Now we need to move around to the EGR valve and the EGR valve cooler. There's lots of little electrical connectors that you need to remove. The DPF pressure pipe, leave them all connected, and then they will all just pull up here, and it's all done with some 13s. We remove this EGR pipe here, and then we can get it all off. Now that we've got everything out of the way, we need to treat this job as if we're doing a clutch and a flywheel. I've done plenty of videos removing gearboxes and stuff, so I'm just going to get this out and then we can crack on with the timing. A little bit of an update, we've got the subframe off now, and we've got the engine literally hanging, swinging in there by this engine support. Now we can take the vehicle back up in the air and get the gearbox out. And there we have it, that is one dry gearbox out. Now this dry shaft here for the driver's side, I'm not going to be the first and I won't be the last. It is actually seized in this mountain here, so I'm going to have to try and get it out somehow. Anyway, let's get this flywheel and clutch pack removed. Now we've got the clutch pack off, we need to just take extra care with the crankshaft pickup ring, put it in a little bit of a rag and put it by the flywheel, and do not forget to put it back in. Now we can just make a start on removing all these covers. Now that we've got all the covers off, they were a bit of a swine to get off. Anyway, nevertheless, as you can see, there we go. That chain is really slack. Now we've got all of these timing covers off, we need to go around to that side of the engine now and lock the crank up. Now we've moved around to the crank pulley side, and as you can see, we've removed it. It's on the floor there. You need to get your locking tool for the crank. Now there is a little dot, I have put a little bit of Tipex there just to show you, and that goes 12 o'clock, and that tool bolts onto the crank and locks it in place. Just like that, and that crank now is not budging. Let's drop the car down and lock the camshafts up. Now let's move around to locking the camshafts. There is a tool that slides through. I'll show you there. Slides through there and into the pulley. So you might have to just get a 22mm or a 21mm and just move the camshaft a little bit so it slides in. Now that we've got everything locked off, we can go ahead now and remove the timing chain. I've put a pin in the tensioner there. We're just going to work our way around and get everything off. And there you have it, that is one timing chain, and all the pulleys are off. Now this pulley at the bottom, it has got an anti-rattle, anti-chatter pulley on it, whatever you want to call it. Now what I've had to do to get it out is put a pin in it and just manoeuvre it, because it takes the tension off it and it'll slide off. And there you have it, that is one timing chain all now fitted, and everything's torqued up correctly, and all the links are marked up to all the dots where it should be. This has had an uprated tensioner put on it. They've got a gasket behind it. As you can see, the original one hasn't, so what happens is the oil flows back and it doesn't keep its pressure there, and that's where you get your rattle in the morning. Now before we put the timing cover back on, what I've done, I have removed the crankshaft oil seal from the timing cover, so it just saves taking the sump off, because I'm not changing this oil pump chain. I don't see the point in it. So what I've done, remove the crankshaft oil seal, so as you slide that timing cover in, you've got enough gap to lift it up and slot it down so it mates up to the sump. Beautiful. Now before we put the timing cover back on, I've put a little bit of red rubber grease around them rubber O-rings around there, and rather than put the sealant on the cover, I've put it on the block instead. So I'm just going to put this on now before I go home tonight, and it'll be nice for the morning. And there we have it, that is both the timing covers back on now. Now this upper one, just in the corners here, you've got to put so much sealant in it because they have a tendency to leak. This one here has got an Allen key, like a spacer inside. What I did, wind it right out, tighten the cover up, and then tighten that Allen key up just so it butted up very ever so gently, and then torqued everything up. Just up here there is a water jacket. You can see the red rubber grease. I've smothered that in red rubber grease. Well, I'm going to plod on now, putting all this back together. I've done plenty of gearbox clutch videos. I've got a new crankshaft oil seal coming for you, and we'll get it all put back together beautifully. Well, we're getting there slowly. We've got the subframe back on, the gearbox back in. I'm just going to put the EGR cooler on now. Now, there is a water little pipe here. So just put a little bit of red rubber grease I did before on the housing, just so it slides in nice and easy, because we don't want that leaking. Now that we've got everything back together, before we do the initial startup, we're going to just disconnect the injectors. We're going to wind it over for about 10-20 seconds and get that oil pressure built up. Now that we've got everything connected back up, I'm going to get on the key now, and we're going to give it a big starter-rooney and see what happens. Well, it's running, and there you have it. The vehicle has been running for about half an hour now. You can hear the fans cutting in. I've reset all the learnt values for the timing. We're going to take it down the road for a little bit of a test drive, and yeah, there you go. That is one timing chain replacement on a 2015 Vauxhall Mocha 1.6 cdti. Anyway, let's get it set.